Alright, so I had a couple of you send me this article that's on the Square Enix website talking about the development team and like who all's working on what, and you said it's a pretty interesting read. So I've been kind of scrolling through it here, and it is pretty interesting, and it kind of brings to light a lot of stuff that they're working on. So I wanted to go through it real quick and just kind of give my thoughts on it. Some of y'all were curious about it, where I'd like to do like fan theories and things like that on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So we'll just go ahead and get into it, man, and like see what they got going on here. So right from the jump, they got Yoshinori Kitase here, the producer. Of course, most of us, not everybody follows this stuff. They're just curious about the game. But most of us who follow the information about the game coming out know who Kitase-san is. So basically, it says, in the several years following 2009, when I was running around all over the world promoting the Final Fantasy 13 series, I had opportunity to speak to many fans and journalists. The question I always got as we got to part ways was, when are you making Final Fantasy VII? Or when are you making Final Fantasy VII Remake? I'd be asking that question too, like if I got the means, like, hey, wait, that's great, 13, great, all that kind of stuff. When are you going to remake Final Fantasy VII for real? It was to the point where it almost felt like an alternative way to say goodbye. So eventually I started preemptively giving my response to the question. And we've kind of heard this before about how, he said it would take too much, at the times, like it would take way too long, and it was going to be too expensive, and they just couldn't do it on the PlayStation 3 hardware, and it just wasn't possible. So to summarize this, because there's a lot of people to get to here, and I don't want this to be an hour-long video for you all, but basically the way he breaks it down is, at one time it was too much, but now this paragraph here, he says, we have people like co-director Naoki Hamaguchi, who are now part of the core development team, who was just a fan of Final Fantasy VII back then, and to my delight, creators from younger generations all over the world have come forth upon hearing news of Final Fantasy VII Remake's production, while ensuring that the spirit of the original game is kept intact. These members are adding to it the power of a new generation. As a result, the game that is about to be born surpasses even my own expectations, as the one who voiced the desire to take this endeavor on in the first place. In fact, the one who's looking forward to playing this game the most right now might actually be me. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool coming from Kitase. He, for interviews I've seen in different game magazines on different websites from him over the years, just he kind of seems like, Final Fantasy VII's his baby, and he's always come across, when that game was brought up, as someone who feels like his story wasn't finished or complete or what he wanted it to be. So it's cool that he's getting in there, and power of a new generation. This is going to be an awesome, amazing game for the PlayStation 4, but that PlayStation 5, this game is going to kick ass on that PlayStation 5. It's going to be amazing. I think we're going to get like a special edition of the Part 1 of Remake for PlayStation. I think it's going to launch on PlayStation 5. There may actually be a Final Fantasy VII Remake PlayStation 5. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, moving on. Tetsuya Nomura, director and concept design. So Nomura's kind of the rock star who's always kind of been attached to Final Fantasy VII. He did the character designs and the look, and he adapted it from Yoshitaka Amano's kind of designs for the original Final Fantasy VII characters and lore and things like that. I started the Final Fantasy VII Remake project around the time of compilation of Final Fantasy VII. We'd gone through Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and Dirge of Cerberus, and I was planning this by myself for about a year as the fifth and final entry in the compilation. Okay. So he's been... okay. Since that initial plan and my first ideas, other projects took shape and I became very busy as they moved forward, but I never stopped thinking about 7. As such, I feel like I'm looking forward to the release as much as anyone, as I've been carrying around these ideas for a long time. Opportunities for discussing our true intentions are few, but with regard to the size of the game and many are asking about, there's no reason at all to worry. Even in this Midgar portion alone, the density and volume are so great that I had to give directions to lighten them up. That's coming from a guy who takes years to make a game. He's like, you guys gotta lighten up on this stuff, we gotta put this thing out. That's funny coming from him. Okay. With regard to new characters, of whom I said during past interviews there would be none, though they aren't main characters, their numbers ended up growing considerably in the process of creating a rich depiction of Midgar. When you think of Midgar's final boss, you probably think of Motor, M-O-T-O-R. I wonder what that's. I wonder what those stand for. I think I know. I can't remember off the top of my head, but in this game, new bosses will appear and add to the excitement of the story even more. I figured that. I think I said that in another video, that I feel like there's going to be bunches of different bosses, new bosses and stuff that you can fight throughout the game, and old bosses are going to be in different places. So they're going to mix it up a little bit. We've already begun working on the next one as well, so okay, confirmation from him. They're already working on the next one, but I'm confident that playing through this title will expand your expectations, just like the world that extends beyond Midgar. Until next time, keep rocking. No more, that's my line. It doesn't say keep rocking, it just says until next time. Alright. So, Kazushige Nojima, Stella Vista Limited, I guess he works for somebody else. Story and scenario. He looks like a rock star. He kind of looks like Iga a little bit from the Castlevania series and Bloodstained. He's kind of got that vibe going on. Seems like a cool dude. Like I can hang out and have a few drinks and play some guitar with this guy, man. You know, he seems like a cool dude to hang out with. It must have been in the very early beginning stages of development, developing Final Fantasy VII Remake, that I got to see a remake version of Cloud for the first time. It wasn't post-Advent Children Cloud with kindness brimming from within. Rather, here was a young man with fiery features looking straight at me through the screen with aggression in his eyes. I knew right then, oh, this is it. What he said, what he's thinking was, oh shit, this is my guy. He's ready to wreck somebody. That's cool. This time, it was Cloud that I needed to depict. When Cloud came to Midgar and was hired by Avalanche, this was the sort of look that he would have had on his face. So I revisited the experience that he'd had in his life so far. Experiences that he'd had in his life so far. Thinking of the effect that each individual event would have had on him. His attitude toward his childhood friend Tifa. How would he act toward Barrett? What sort of distance would he keep while interacting with passers-by on the street? I picture the scene of Midgar in my mind and imagine Cloud moving through it, writing new lines of dialogue to add for him. This is how Cloud in the remake version came to be. It was an exciting task to introduce a new current of wind to Final Fantasy VII. But at the same time, there was some fear. The original game used cartoon-like stylized art, and the story was completed by players using their imagination to supplement portions that couldn't be depicted as a result. Even if they were seeing the same scene, the information they took away from it and how they interpreted it differed depending on the viewer. Perhaps it's what might be considered a narrative form of storytelling nowadays. That's actually correct. I interpreted things when I played Final Fantasy VII, and all these years later, I'll talk with other fans that they interpreted differently. Case in point, the different forms of Genova, and like how the black cloaked guys factor into the story, and they relate to Genova. So I get what they're saying, because me and some other people, we have like some different opinions on that too, and they leave it up to your opinion or your imagination to figure it out and come to your own conclusion as you play through the story. And the ending, the ending with just the FMV video, and then it's over, and the last person you see is Aerith. So is it humanity ending and then the world taking the planet back through the live stream, and you're just seeing the beginning of the game again with Aerith waking up in the street, or looking up from the street, or is she saving everybody? It's hard to say. So of course you have Naoki and his kids running toward the ruins of Midgar at the end of it, but the ruins of Midgar could also explained that humanity ended there. So it's up for interpretation. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. That'll be this conversation for another time. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, there will be much less room for player imagination. Yeah, because you're going to be able to put everything on the game as you want it to be told. This fact will probably change the feel of the story considerably. People who know the original might not quite know how to take it. Such is the fear that I have, but I also have conviction. It should be possible to feel a much deeper connection to Cloud as you join alongside him. It would be amazing if you could feel that fiery flame together with him. Cool. Naoki, I guess that's how you say his name. Hamaguchi, co-director, game design, programming. Oh, this guy right here is doing the work. This guy here is doing some serious work. He kind of looks tired. Man. He's kind of like, hey, we got this great game, but I'm sleeping like 2 hours a night, so, you know, crunch is real. When the original Final Fantasy VII was released, I was just another student who dreamed of being in the game industry. I, of course, played the game, but I also reread the guidebook over and over again. My heart stolen by the engaging universe. I remember wishing strongly that I'd be able to create a game like it someday. 22 years later, that student who dreamed of Final Fantasy VII is now involved in developing the remake. I can't help but feel like it's fate. In this title, I overseeing the development team overall, such as deciding development milestones, constructing a workflow using Unreal Engine, and taking responsibility for game design. Yeah, he got some overtime. He put some overtime in on this game. That's a big slate of things right there. Now, that's a lot of people, a lot of talent to be managing too, for sure. Here I met staff members who were involved in the original game, who entered the industry with childhood dreams of Final Fantasy VII just like me, and those who were drawn by the allure of Final Fantasy VII and joined the dev team from overseas. It was a gathering of amazing creators with passion and ambition toward the game. All I have is gratitude for having the opportunity to meet this team. With all this in mind, I've considered the following phrase important: respect for the original. Final Fantasy VII Remake takes on the challenge of creating something that's created specifically thanks to the technological power and entertainment quality that matches the current generation, while treating the captivating elements of the original game with respect. For those who've played it, new but familiar. For those who haven't played it, experience the charm of Final Fantasy VII, which moved the hearts of many, now created with the most exciting modern technology available. I hope you enjoy it. That's cool. He keeps it short and sweet. He's got to get back to work. He's got a lot to do. Motomu Toriyama, co-director, scenario design. Okay. For the original game, I joined the project as a planner who was just starting out on my career, and I worked on the Sector 7 slums of Walmart. Okay, cool. So he helped design those areas. Awesome. In producing Final Fantasy VII Remake, the thoughts and feelings I had when I was just starting out back then were revived, and at the same time, I took on the challenge of new methods of expression that I'm able to execute now that I have the experience. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I get what he's saying there. As an artist, I totally get what he's saying there. The original version was a forerunner when it came to RPGs that used 3D CG, but the characters were made of polygons, the dialogue was in text only, and cameras weren't able to be used for cutscenes. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're using the newest visuals, voice acting, and character facial expressions to design the Final Fantasy VII universe to be more realistic. By increasing the realism of the universe within the city of Midgar, which is made prosperous by Mako energy, we of course also reimagined the characters who reside there, like Cloud and Tifa, more vividly as living and breathing human beings, depicting their daily lives and feelings in a more in-depth manner. That's cool, man. That just gets me more excited, more pumped. We took care to remake not only the main characters, but also characters like Johnny and the Shinra middle manager who I created back then. Please keep your eye out to see how they make their new appearances. Additionally, when remaking the Honeybee Inn at Wall Market, we revived it as a pantheon of entertainment. Honeybee Inn is a pantheon of entertainment. I wonder what type of entertainment that is. Which couldn't be realized back then. Here, the scene that many of you have been eager to see where Cloud disguises himself. Please enjoy. They just confirmed. Cloud cross-dressing scene confirmed. And it was going to be in there. There's no way it's not going to be in there. They kind of teased it in one of the last trailers they released, where Cloud and Aerith and Tifa are kind of like, they're kind of holding on to each one of his arms, and he's got this worried look on his face. Of course, I think that's in Trading Graveyard in that scene, but they kind of teased it because it's right after Don Corneo's scene. So of course it's going to be in there. Of course, it's one of the most famous scenes in gaming. You know, of course it's going to be in there. Shintaro Takei, graphics and video effects director. I created the effects for the original Final Fantasy VII. Back then, the scope of development was so exorbitantly massive that I threw myself into the tasks for which I was responsible, without even fully understanding what sort of game we were creating. Near the final stages of development, when I finally tried playing the test version, I remember being surprised by the graphics and the depth of the story, as well as how fully realized it was, and I remember enjoying the game as a player. It's been 22 years after that, and I'm participating in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project as a developer, and today I'm able to experience the impact and fun similar to that of the previous title. For the remake, I've mainly directed the effects section, while also crossing over into other sections for decisions and directions on overall graphics. Among the many major games that are celebrated for their photorealistic graphics, Final Fantasy VII is a little different. Not only is it realistic, but I believe you'll notice that it incorporates playfulness in the design and colors for an originality not found in other games. Effects are an area that is particularly conducive to expressing various elements of playfulness. Sorry, I'm stuttering over these words. I'm a little bit tired. I worked about 10 hours today and I just got home, so I wanted to check this out when I came in. So I apologize if I'm like tripping over words as I read them a little bit. I'm just really tired, but we will soldier on. Pun totally intended. Unintended but intended. Alright, so here we go. I hope you'll enjoy various effects that are not only beautiful but also convincingly portray realism and magic. And magic! He says it with 2 exclamation points. Various elements of game design and graphic design have been packed into every corner of the vast Midgar. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, I'm sure I will, bro. I'm sure I will. Teruki Endo, Battle Director. When I played the original version, I wasn't on the game creating side of things, and I remember enjoying it as a player and feeling constant surprise at the evolution of games. The three-dimensionality of the stage and the dynamism of the battle scenes have left a strong impression on me. Back then, I never even imagined that I would someday be on the side of creating games, or that I would be able to be involved in that game. Speaking to my own personal experience, I had mostly been creating action games thus far, so for this title, I took on the challenge of remaking a system that was not an action game originally and incorporating action elements into it. Okay, so this guy's got a big hand in kind of the retooling of the battle system. Production was completely different than that of a pure action game, and the need for new design philosophy often arose. Production involved constantly searching for the best balance between action and command elements, but I believe we've managed to do this in an exciting way. In order to create battles that are surprising and never boring, we worked hard to create a variety of strategic elements for each boss and enemy. Also, in constructing battle systems for each character, we wanted to respect the image of the original version while additionally introducing many new abilities. Yeah, man, I'm excited for that. Like, show me all kinds of new stuff that I've never seen before. Let's do it. I'm in. I hope you're able to find your own style of battle by combining those abilities with materia. I'm sure we'll be alright. I'm sure we'll make it, dude. Takako Miyake, Environment Director. For Final Fantasy VII Remake, the graphics team worked to the theme of how would Midgar look if it existed in real life. As the environments team, we examined those portions that were once left to the players' imaginations, fell outside of the on-screen area or were between scenes, and tried to supplement them in detail. For all the fans out there, we worked our hardest in hopes that you'll be able to relive an experience that also surpasses your memories. That's cool, man. These people care. I mean, this whole article with these people that are being interviewed that are on the production team, the really important players on the production team, This tells me they all care about this. They're not just trying to produce something to make money. I mean, to make their quarter earnings. I mean, they really care about this. That's cool, man. That's cool. For all of you who are playing for the first time, we worked our hardest with the sole hope that you'll experience this amazing universe that has remained beloved by so many for 22 years, and to be able to convey its charm. Additionally, in order to create a fitting backdrop for the drama unfolding around the main characters, and in order for it to be a stage where the various characters living in Midgar can be their vibrant selves, all of the teams, including the environment section, came up with ideas and worked collaboratively. That's cool. Midgar is a closed city. However, I would be very happy if by experiencing the drama unfolding around its residents and the main characters who go through it, you feel as though Midgar actually exists. I'm a Final Fantasy VII fan, so being able to take part in the remake was something that made me happy, but also nervous. It's been an unforgettable development experience. I truly hope that everyone enjoys it. Oh, you ain't gotta worry about me. I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy it quite much for a very long time. Okay, Ichiro Yamaguchi, lighting director. Final Fantasy VII for me, at the time when I was in school, was a very impactful game. It really pierced my heart as I was at such a sensitive age, with not only a rich story but charming characters, world setting, and music, not to mention that it was the first in the series to be in 3D polygon format. This was the piece that really brought out my interest in CG in general. When I was able to join the Final Fantasy VII Remake team, I started by thinking back to how I felt when I first played it. Midgar, with its abundant mix of different elements and original characters like Cloud, became something unbreakable and the standard for me in Final Fantasy VII. In the world of the game, just like in real life, there is not some form of light that then you won't. If there's not some form of light, then you won't be able to see anything. So when putting up lights just anywhere, Midgar could lose its token Midgarness, and it's Midgarness. And Cloud wouldn't be Cloud anymore. I've taken as much care as possible to recreate the world that I had saved in my mind, and attempted to remake it to a fresh and modern standard. The positions of the new lights that illuminate the entirety of Midgar, the adjustments made to each and every voluminous cutscene, it's all a lot of work to do. However, alongside the rest of the wonderful lighting team, we feel we've brought something great to the table. We've left in the elements that will have you going, that's what it was like, and yet you'll still be able to enjoy the world of Final Fantasy VII in its new and fresh style. You know what he's talking about there's a shot in the remake they've shown so far, right when Cloud jumps off the train, he starts the bombing mission. The camera pans behind him, and the lighting is so good in that scene because there's like this one floodlight at the end of like the path going into the reactor by the train station, and you see the silhouettes of Jesse, Biggs, Wedge, and Barrett running in there, and then you see kind of like you know it's Cloud, but it's kind of his silhouette because he's front lit, so all you see is like his shadowy back area with the sword out, with the soldiers running at him. That is a gorgeous shot. And that is not a shot you could have done on PS3 with that lighting. The way that lighting works, you could not have done that on PS3. That is a PS4, that's a current gen thing that you couldn't have done before. So I love that. That was beautiful. Okay, Masaki Guz, character modeling director. I was amongst those who bought the original game on the day of its release and played it constantly, clearing it in under a week. Those that also have cleared it will understand this, but I also wasn't quite satisfied with the locations, so I continued to play it after clearing in the same places as well. Does it mean locations in the game? I don't know. And so my memory of Final Fantasy VII was how I actually started studying CG, after being left with a strong motivation to want to create a Final Fantasy game when playing it and truly being moved by it. So I just made my mind up and bought a PC to help me study. Something that I had never even touched before. I'd never even touched a PC before. So for me, someone who had been so strongly influenced by the original, to be working on the characters of the remake, I want to do everything I can to make them in a way that shows both a charm and freshness whilst keeping that nostalgia. So I want them to reflect in a fresh way that That tripped me up there. There's two that's there. That also allow players of the original to remember the time that they played the original, as well as make them detailed and charming enough to give first-time players the understanding of how charming they are. They're all pretty charming characters in their own right, and they all kind of stick with you in their own way, except for Keiichi. I hate Keiichi. I don't like that character at all. I'm playing through it right now, and I'm not digging having to use them in certain parts. I've been sure to arrange things like hairstyles and outfits to recreate and design from the original, so I encourage anyone to take time with their camera angles when playing to take a look. That's cool. Also, there are several characters that stand out other than just the main characters that you'll find, so please see for yourself as to what kind of appearance and characteristics they have. Other than that, we've got enemies in there perhaps too close to the original, and there are many surprises coming in the remake for you to all look forward to. Keep your eyes out. Man, you know, I want to know what's that big house thing in Sector 5 or Sector 6, the sector the Aerith is from. Is it Sector 5? I thought it was Sector 6 slums. Maybe it is Sector 5. But it's with the grass strike. I guess they're called the grass strike things. It attacks you with them between there and Wall Market. I wonder what that's going to look like. And I love that all the characters look really goofy. Like they still kind of have that goofy, cartoony kind of look to them. Especially the turtle things with the tridents that you fight underneath in the sewers or whatever. I like that they're keeping all that kind of playfulness with the character designs. Yoshiyuki Soma, animation director. When Final Fantasy VII came out, I was actually more of a Sega Saturn fan. Yeah, man, Castlevania on Sega Saturn is where it's at. That's where it's at. So I didn't play it straight away. However, when it was decided that I was to join Square, I was put on the development team of Final Fantasy VIII. And so I thought to myself, I'm screwed if I don't know about Final Fantasy VII. Oh, that's funny. Man, I'm screwed if I don't know about this game. I gotta play it. That's when I bought a PlayStation and played it so much. Those memories feel like only yesterday, so I can't say this too loudly, but I actually started it out of obligation rather than a fan. Yeah, it's part of the job, man. It's like, man, I can't work for this company and not know what their best game they ever put out was. That's when I bought it. Okay, I was in the wrong place. However, I was absolutely enthralled by the world and lore as soon as I picked it up. For the animations, each and every member of the team, from those responsible for battles, fields, simple events, cutscenes, minigames, facial expressions, to swinging things in the background, actual behavior settings, have all worked together to improve as one. We've done our best to ensure that whatever you do, it feels like the characters are alive there with you. We really hope you enjoy the story of Midgar on a huge screen with Cloud and his friends. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome. So what I take away from this is, like, that's everybody. What I take away from this is that everybody's having fun. They're really loving going back and revisiting this thing, and they're having a great time, and the development is going to reflect that. I feel like there's a lot of love being poured into this. I'm ecstatic. Everything I read or check in on or put on this channel for you all, or even the things I've been watching and looking at that I don't put on this channel, because I will just scroll. Somebody will send me a screenshot of something. Somebody will send me a little news article about something. I go read it. You know, I don't put everything on this channel, but everything I've seen and read and looked into so far, it's all been just amazing. Like, it just all gets me more hyped for it. Honestly, I mean, I don't know that every time I say I don't know I can get more hype, I get more hype. I get more hype. You know what I mean? Hype. I get more of it, man, every time. So there's about 4 or 5 of you that suggested this article to me, DM me on Twitter, and hit me up on Facebook and stuff. Thank you all so much. It was a good read. I really appreciate it. So there was a little bit here in the beginning with Kitase-san that I kind of skipped over, but I guess I'll read it just real quick in case you all haven't read the article or you want to read the article. I did kind of skip over it, so I'm going to pick up right here where he's talking about people asking if they're going to remake 7, and said it was to the point where it almost felt like an alternative way to say goodbye, so eventually I started preemptively giving my response to the question before they even asked it. If we were to create a remake out of that now, it would be an enormous amount of data, and who knows how many years it would take. But if the right time comes along, we might just do it someday. This is how I'd respond back then. Who knows how many hundreds of times. To all the people I had a chance to meet with back then. The right time has finally arrived. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Right time's here. For the Final Fantasy VII Remake, developers who worked on the original game have come on board once again as core members, including myself as producer, Tetsuya Nomura as director, Motomu Toriyama as co-director, and Kazushige Nojima on story and scenario. I believe he wrote the original scenario for Final Fantasy VII, I believe. Additionally, we also have people like co-director Naoki Hamaguchi, who are now part of the core development team, who was just a fan of Final Fantasy VII back then. And, to my delight, creators from younger generations all over the world have come forth upon hearing news of Final Fantasy VII Remake's production. While ensuring that the spirit of the game, the original game, is kept intact, these members are adding to it the power of a new generation. Okay, I read that part. As a result, the game that is about to be born surpasses even my own expectations as the one who voiced the desire to take this endeavor in the first place. In fact, the one who's looking forward. Okay, I read that part. He's the one looking forward to playing it the most. So, didn't skip over too much, I guess. I thought I skipped over the whole thing, but yeah. What do you all think? I mean, if you're watching this video, and I've been talking to a lot of you all in the comments, I know who's hyped for this game. I know y'all are hyped for this game. I know we can't wait for the Game Awards, because I feel like I am 99% sure there's a new trailer coming to the Game Awards. I really do. December 12th, I'm going to live stream viewing the Game Awards. I'm going to watch it live with you all. I'll get that stuff set up, and I'll let you all know when that's going to happen more later. But thank you all for, if you watched the whole video, appreciate it. Give it a like, share it around, subscribe if you haven't already. But if you've watched all 30 minutes with me, you've probably subscribed already anyway. But if you haven't, go ahead and hit that button. I appreciate it. We're growing, and we're climbing toward that 1,200. Once we hit that 1,200, that 1,200th subscriber. Again, sorry, I worked for about almost 11 hours today. Once we get that 1,200th subscriber, we will be doing the Final Fantasy VII Remake giveaway, and I have upgraded to the Deluxe Edition. So the winner will be getting the Deluxe Edition. So anyway, appreciate it. Y'all have a great night. Have a great rest of your week. It's just Monday, so you got a long week ahead. Keep rocking. Have a great one, and I will catch you all in the next video. I'm going to bed. Y'all take it easy.